a layer of about 1.5 meters of barren soil, and then beneath that, more human artifacts. And they finally date those back to more than 50,000 years ago.
Many ancient civilizations have died off, their stories forgotten by history, and their achievements lost to the passage of time. But from the grave of oblivion, their voice can sometimes be heard, as the earth reveals the monuments and remains of these cultures, which had previously been hidden within its grasp. Archaeologists are constantly working round the clock as they try to unearth some of the most fascinating remains of times past, in order to deepen our understanding of the history of human development. Join us today as we explore 15 most incredible archaeological discoveries. Number 15. Terracotta Army. If you're a fan of the Mummy franchise, then this one might look a bit familiar. In 1972, while digging a well in Lintong County, just outside Xi'an in Shanxi, China, Yangjifa, a farmer who cultivated the area, along with his 5 brothers, and a neighbor, Wang Puji, uncovered this massive army buried underground. Now popularly known as the Terracotta Army, this massive gallery of terracotta sculptures depicts the army of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. Made as a form of funerary art, buried with the emperor, these statues are believed to represent the soldiers shouldered with the responsibility of protecting and serving the supreme ruler in the world beyond. Archaeologists were thrown into a frenzy when these figures were discovered in 1974. The massive number of the sculptures and the vastness of the space occupied made the burial site a candidate for discovery of the century. An estimate in 2007 revealed that the 3 pits where these life-sized figures were buried alongside the emperor contained more than 8,000 soldiers, 130 chariots, 520 horses, and 150 chariot horses. Other non-military figures were discovered in adjoining pits. These remaining terracotta sculptures depict officials, acrobats, musicians, and strongmen. Construction works on the tomb began in 246 BC, a short while after the Emperor Qin had ascended the throne, following the death of his father. Qin Shi Huang, who was about 13 years old at the time, conscripted about 700,000 workers for this task. According to geographer Li Daoyuan, Mount Li was selected as the appropriate location for this massive project because of its auspicious geology. The area was famous for its abundance in jade mines. The northern side was also rich in gold. Therefore, the emperor coveted that he be buried there. Historian Sima Qian also reported that the emperor was buried with several infrastructure and artifacts, including palaces, towers, and other wondrous objects. This incredible archaeological discovery underscores the extent to which ancient rulers believed in the afterlife and the comfort they desired in the world beyond. Number 14. Rosetta Stone. There is rarely any landscape in the world that has yielded as many archaeological discoveries as Egypt. From monumental structures and mummified bodies to remains of long-lost rituals, this ancient landscape is a treasure trove for archaeologists and historians. Unfortunately, due to the fact that the Egyptian language has been lost to history, many of the hieroglyphic inscriptions discovered in Egypt remained indiscernible. That was until the discovery of the Rosetta Stone. The ancient stone was accidentally found by Napoleon's soldiers, who were digging the foundations of an addition to the fort situated near the town of Rashid, also known as Rosetta, in the Nile Delta. The Rosetta Stone was found broken and incomplete, and is believed to be the only surviving part of a bigger stone slab. So why is this piece of rock so important? Well, that's because it gave us an understanding of the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. You see, this ancient text is a decree about King Ptolemy, an ancient Egyptian ruler. The decree was copied onto large stone slabs known as stelae and erected in every temple in Egypt. In order to facilitate a better understanding of the message, and because of the diversity of the Egyptian population at the time, the decree was inscribed in 3 ancient languages. 14 lines of hieroglyphic scripts, 32 lines written in Demotic, and 54 lines in ancient Greek transformed this ordinary stone into an archaeological wonder. This was to ensure that everyone could understand the message that was being passed. Because the inscriptions say the same thing in all three languages, scholars were able to interpret the hieroglyphics as they could read the writing in ancient Greek. The discovery of the Rosetta Stone was a huge breakthrough in the field of archaeology, as it helped facilitate our understanding of the Egyptian civilizations. The cryptic messages recorded in the hieroglyphics featured in several sites and unravel the mysteries of this ancient culture. Number 13. Dead Sea Scrolls. What is the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century? According to archaeologists, definitely the Dead Sea Scrolls. This series of ancient texts written on leather, papyrus, and copper were first discovered in 1947 on the northeastern shore of the Dead Sea. For decades, scholars have peddled tales and legends about this mysterious script that contained never-before-seen information about the emergence of Christianity, the Rabbinic Judaism, and the relationship between the two. These manuscripts were eventually found in 11 caves near an ancient ruin known as Qumran, which historians believe was the home of the community from which the scrolls originated. Scientists have dated the origin of this ancient text to the 1st century BC. Unfortunately, a large percentage of the Dead Sea Scrolls have been lost through time, but the few that survived have helped deepen our understanding of the past. Among the 900 scrolls that have been found, about 200 of them are copies of Old Testament texts, while the vast majority are extra-biblical texts. Amazingly, the Book of Esther was the only book left out of this ancient manuscript. However, it is noteworthy that about 60% of the Dead Sea Scrolls are absent in the canonized version of the Old Testament. These 2,000-year-old scrolls have remained well preserved, and they reveal to us information that could help us unravel the mystery behind some events that have happened in the past. Number 12. Voynich Manuscript. How about a book no one can read? We present to you the Voynich Manuscript, an ancient text believed to have been created in the 15th or 16th century. This mysterious manuscript was named after Wilfrid Voynich, an antiquarian bookseller who purchased the book in 1912. So what makes the Voynich manuscript so special? Well, unlike the Rosetta Stone and the Dead Sea Scrolls, the content of the Voynich manuscript has remained indiscernible for scholars. Even after decades of research, we have not been able to unravel the mysteries contained in this strange text. The 234-page book is divided into 6 sections based on the illustrations contained within it. Since scientists have not been able to decipher the written language, the illustrations provided a clue as to what each section talks about. According to researchers, the Voynich manuscript contains a section about botany, astronomy, astrology, cosmology, pharmaceuticals, biology, and another one believed to be filled with recipes. Illustrations featured in the botany section include 113 large, detailed depictions of plants and herbs, with explanatory texts written around the images, though their interpretations continue to evade scientists. The book is also believed to contain an astrology section filled with drawings of the arrangement of stars, the sun, the moon, and several zodiac signs. The strangest part of this book, however, are the drawings of nude women, intertwined with and connected by tubes filled with what appears to be flowing fluids. The source and timing of the creation of this manuscript remains an unsolved mystery, however. Radiocarbon dating has placed its origin around the early 15th century. Archaeologists have theorized that the script was originally owned by Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II, who ruled over the Roman Empire between 1567 and 1611. But this theory remains unsubstantiated. Number 11. Easter Island. Deep in the mid-Pacific Ocean, far away from modern civilization, is an island often featured in legendary tales, a place straight out of a fairy tale. Easter Island, locally known as the Rapa Nui, is one of the youngest and most remote inhabited territories on Earth, located at the easternmost outpost of the Polynesian island world, 1,500 miles west of South America. The indigenous residents, known as the Rapa Nui, have endured several tragedies in isolation. Famines, epidemics, civil war, slave raids, and environmental collapse have made this distant location hell on earth for the inhabitants. However, the island is famous for one of the most incredible archaeological discoveries in the world. This unique landscape was hidden from the rest of the world, until Easter Sunday in 1722, when European explorer Jacob Roggeveen stumbled upon a fascinating island filled with mysterious sculptures. These stone figures, known as the moai, are depictions of ancestral chiefs whose supernatural powers provide adequate protection for the Rapa Nui community. According to legend, these chiefs are believed to have descended directly from the gods and stand as their representatives on Earth. These stone figures were erected on temple platforms known as ahu, which were usually situated along the coast. The statues are made to face inland in order to watch over the local community. Historians believe that these stones were carved from soft volcanic tuff at an extinct volcanic crater known as Rano Raraku, which possibly served as the primary quarry for making the statues. The stone figures stand at an average height of 13 feet, with one unfinished piece measuring over 70 feet in length. The moai statues are characterized by their long, sloping noses, deeply inset eyes, strong brows, and prominent chin. Unfortunately, by the time the Europeans discovered Easter Island, the moai tradition had faded out, and much of the statues had fallen into disrepair due to neglect and warfare. Number 10. King Tutankhamun's Tomb. The discovery of the tomb of one of Egypt's most influential rulers, Tutankhamun, in 1922, sent shockwaves across the archaeological community. King Tut was a young Egyptian pharaoh who ruled ancient Egypt between 1333 and 1323. The boy king had, however, died under mysterious circumstances, his glorious light snuffed out by the cold hands of death at the tender age of 18. This tomb has immortalized his legacy, revealing to us the mysteries surrounding the life and death of the young, enigmatic king. Becoming a king at 9 years old was definitely not Tutankhamun's childhood dream, but after the death of his father, King Amenhotep IV, he had to step into shoes that were bigger than him. According to historians, his coronation as king was an attempt by the officials and high-ranking members of the Egyptian government to use him as a puppet in order to achieve their selfish goals. His cause of death was as mysterious as his life. History records that he had died of malaria, which was worsened by a degenerative bone disease from an injury he had sustained while hunting rhinos for sport. But what do we really know? His tomb was eventually lost and forgotten by the time of the 20th dynasty, until the discovery in 1922 by English archaeologist Howard Carter. When he and his team found his tomb, they were amazed at the immense amount of treasures deposited within the burial site. Inside this small tomb, archaeologists found Tutankhamun's mummified remains nested within 3 coffins. The innermost was made of solid gold, and 2 outer ones also made of gold, hammered over wooden frames. A magnificent portrait mask was placed over the king's head, and numerous amulets and pieces of jewelry were laid on the remains and the wrappings. The coffin bearing the remains was also surrounded by 4 text-covered shrines made of hammered gold over wood. Till date, archaeologists are still working round the clock at this site as we try to piece the forgotten story of the young king together. Number 9. Cave of Altamira. In 1876, a local nobleman by the name of Marcelino San de Sotuola discovered an ancient cave near Santillana del Mar in Cantabria, Spain. This fascinating discovery has been a treasure trove for archaeological finds since its discovery, offering a glimpse into the lifestyle and habits of the early humans. This Paleolithic cave was found brimming with pieces of evidence of human presence, such as rudimentary stone tools and animal bone carvings. Excavations began at the site in 1879, as Sans de Sautuola worked hard to uncover the many archaeological treasures embedded in the ancient cave. One last summer, while working at the site, uncovering the ancient artifacts, his daughter Maria, who had accompanied him, pointed to the beautiful paintings on the ceiling of a side chamber in the cave. This prehistoric painting of a bison convinced Sans de Sautuola to publish his findings at the site in 1880. However, his reports were met with ridicule, as most prehistorians at the time believed the paintings were mere forgeries. It was not until the end of the 19th century that the paintings were accepted as genuine. This painting gave us the opportunity to gaze upon the fine artistry of the ancient humans. Its discovery also convinced scientists that early humans were capable of artistic expression and were probably not as primitive as earlier thought. Other creatures, as well as some additional engravings of 8 anthropomorphic figures, some handprints and hand stencils, were beautifully painted on the cave walls. By carbon dating the charcoal used in the paintings, scientists were able to date them to between 14,820 to 13,130 years ago. What a find! Number 8. The Staffordshire Horde. What would you do if you accidentally stumbled upon a massive collection of ancient golden artifacts? This was the reality for local metal detectorist Terry Herbert in 2009, after he discovered what has been described as the largest hoard of Anglo-Saxon gold and silver metalwork ever found. This discovery was made while Herbert was working in a field near the village of Hammerwich, located near Lichfield, in Staffordshire, England. Historians say that this site was part of an Anglo-Saxon kingdom known as Mercia, at the time the hoard was deposited. The quality of the craftsmanship employed in the production of these artifacts is astounding. This is especially remarkable when you consider that these items were crafted from a number of individual objects, such as swords and helmets. The Staffordshire Hoard includes about 3,490 metal fragments, all totaling to 11.23 pounds of gold and 3.18 pounds of silver, as well as 3,500 cloisonne garnets. The find has been described as the largest treasure of Anglo-Saxon gold and silver objects ever discovered in history. The majority of the items in the hoard are military, save for 3 religious objects. The hoard contained no domestic objects, eating utensils, or any feminine jewelry, which are usually common in many other Anglo-Saxon gold treasures. Weapons, gold sword decorations, crosses, a gold strip, and many other peculiar items form a huge part of this hoard. So why were all these artifacts stored in one place? According to historians, the hoard was deposited as part of the ancient custom of giving war gear, known as heriot, as death duty to the king, following the death of his noblemen. The discovery of the Staffordshire Hoard helped us expand our understanding of the Anglo-Saxon culture and the practices common with this ancient civilization. Number 7. The Superhenge. You've heard of Stonehenge, but you've probably never heard of its older brother, the Superhenge. No, this is not clickbait. This is a real site located about 2 miles from Stonehenge. Located just 90 miles southwest of London, these Neolithic monuments were found buried beneath the bank of the Durrington Walls, Superhenge, known to be the largest henges in the United Kingdom. Archaeologists were amazed at this find, as it threatens to alter everything we have ever believed about the origin and purpose of Stonehenge. Compared to Stonehenge, this archaeological site is massive, taking about 5 times the area occupied by Stonehenge. Archaeologists have also confirmed that the site could be as old, or even older, than Stonehenge. This means that the monument was likely built around 4,500 years ago. The Superhenge also contains 6 times more stones than Stonehenge, totaling about 90 standing stones, while Stonehenge only features 15 large standing stones. With the tallest stone in the Stonehenge standing at 13 feet, archaeologists believe that the Superhenge was likely taller and could have stood at about 15 feet tall. Initially, the stones were buried 3 feet under the earth, which kept them hidden for long, before they were eventually discovered using penetrating radars. Archaeologists believe that the Superhenge was likely used as a Neolithic ritual site, which incorporated lunar and solar alignments. However, as archaeologists began excavations at the site, they discovered that their initial hypotheses were very wrong. Instead of unearthing huge stones, what they found were enormous pits dug for timber posts. The large beams of wood appeared to have been removed not long after they were erected about 4,500 years ago. The discovery remains huge nonetheless, and has been described as the largest ancient monument of its type. Number 6. Pompeii. It was noon on August 24, 79 AD. It was business as usual in the ancient Roman city of Pompeii, but that day would forever remain etched in the history books forever. Everyone was going about their daily hustle and bustle when suddenly, A huge eruption from Mount Vesuvius showered volcanic debris all over the city. This was followed by clouds of blistering hot gas, lasting for days on end. Buildings became dust, the entire population was asphyxiated, and the city was buried under a heavy blanket of ash and pumice. Welcome to the ancient Roman city of Pompeii, located in Campania, Italy, just 14 miles southeast of Naples, at the southeastern base of Mount Vesuvius. Lost for centuries under the cover of the ash, which perfectly preserved the remains of the mayhem and destruction, the site was finally discovered and unearthed in the 1700s. This discovery exposed the world to the level of sophistication observed in the Greco-Roman city, frozen in time. The archaeological site features an impressive forum, an amphitheater, lavish villas, and all kinds of houses, which date back to the 4th century BC. The city is filled with human remains, many frozen in the moment as they tried to flee the inescapable wrath of the volcano. Many were sheltering in homes and sheds, all burned in a fleeting moment. This frozen moment revealed the day-to-day activities and practices common in ancient times, and it gives us a glimpse into what life was like in Pompeii thousands of years ago. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. During the restoration of the Mashki Gate, an ancient monument located in Mosul, Iraq, that was partially destroyed by Islamic State terrorists when they captured the city in 2016, a group of archaeologists discovered something absolutely incredible. The team found 8 marble slabs with strange carvings etched on them. These ancient rock carvings tell the story of a war during the rule of Assyrian kings in the ancient city of Nineveh. Authorities date the carvings to the time of the reign of Sennacherib, which was between 705 and 681 BC. Such a magnificent piece of art immortalized the ancient conflict, revealing to us the forgotten history of this ancient civilization. Does this incredible discovery amaze you? Let us know in the comments. Number 5. 1,800-year-old Gladiator Arena. The idea of fun and games in ancient times is pretty strange. Warriors would engage in a fatal battle, fighting for life, fighting to death, as thousands of spectators cheers to the display of gore and glory. This ancient arena remains one of the surviving witnesses of the bloodshed and brutality perpetrated within its walls. This massive structure is believed to have been built around 1,800 years ago and was discovered by archaeologists in the summer of 2020. The 20,000-capacity Gladiator Arena is located on the rolling hills of the ancient city Idi Mastaura, in the western Aydin province of Turkey. Its large, central area where the glorious combat took place has now been overtaken by vegetation, covered with shrubs and wild trees. After the discovery, the area was cleared of the trees and vegetation in order to protect the building against the destructive forces of nature. Archaeologists believe that the Gladiator Arena was built during the Severan dynasty, which was between 193 AD and 235 AD. Number 4. Byzantine Mosaic. Sometimes the most incredible discoveries are made in the most ordinary places and under the most ordinary circumstances. While digging up a farm in Gaza to investigate why the olive tree they had planted wasn't flourishing, Salman al-Nabahin and his son uncovered one of the most fascinating archaeological discoveries ever made in Gaza. Buried beneath the dirt was a Byzantine mosaic depicting both domesticated and wild animals and birds. Scientists have estimated that the mosaic was around 1,500 years old, and surprisingly it still remained in a remarkable condition, even though it had been buried under the ground for a very long time. The mosaic is estimated to have been made in the 6th century, during the reign of the Byzantine Empire. This ancient empire had controlled much of the eastern Mediterranean for about 1,100 years after the split of the Roman Empire, towards the end of the 4th century. The instability of the region, owing to the tension between Israel and the Gaza Strip, has however raised concerns over the safety of this archaeological treasure. This artistic expression stands as a testament to the brilliant craftsmanship of our long-gone ancestors. Number 3. The Shroud of Turin. Now on to something a little bit controversial. The Shroud of Turin, also known as Holy Shroud, is a length of line, which was purported for centuries as the burial garment of Jesus Christ. Since 1578, This ancient relic has been preserved in the royal chapel of the Cathedral of San Giovanni Battista in Turin, Italy. The Shroud of Turin measures about 14 feet and 3 inches in length and 3 feet and 7 inches in width. The linen also seemed to portray two faint back and front brownish images of a gaunt, sunken-eyed 5-foot 7-inch man. The images were formed as though a body had been laid lengthwise along one half of the linen, while the other half was doubled over the head to cover the entire front of the body from the face to the feet. Markings corresponding to the bruises sustained by Jesus Christ during his flogging and lacerations before his crucifixion were also found on the shroud. This is different from the veil of Veronica, a piece of fabric depicted in the Stations of the Cross, which was believed to have been imprinted on Jesus Christ's face during his walk to Golgotha. The first emergence of the shroud was in 1354, when it was recorded in the hands of Geoffroy de Charny, a famous knight. It is worth noting that no scientific conclusions have been reached concerning the validity of the Shroud of Turin, however. What a discovery this would be if it were confirmed to be indeed real. Number 2. Khat Shabib. The landscape of Jordan is home to the remnants of one of the most awe-inspiring achievements of ancient civilizations. Modern scientists often underappreciate the craftsmanship and engineering capabilities of these ancient civilizations, but the more we look, the more we realize that these ancient humans were capable of achieving engineering feats beyond our wildest imagination. One of the surviving structures is the Khat Shabib, an ancient wall that extends for about 93 miles in southern Jordan. This ancient structure is shrouded in mystery, as no one was able to explain who built the wall, when it was built, and most importantly, why it was built. The existence of the Khat Shabib was first recorded in 1948 by Sir Alec Kirkbride, a British ambassador to Jordan. While he was flying over the Ma'an district, he noticed a strange stone walk running across the country for no obvious purpose. Physical exploration of the walls later revealed certain points where two walls ran side by side, and some points where the wall branches off. Although it is now largely in ruins, archaeologists believe that this massive structure once stood at over 3 feet tall and had about 100 towers built alongside it, standing at 6 to 12 feet tall. An air of uncertainty surrounds the date of the wall's construction. Researchers had initially claimed that the structure was medieval in origin. However, further studies showed that it may be much older. Some scholars also claim that the Khat Shabib was constructed between 312 BC and 1 of 6 AD, a period known as the Nabatean period, and the Umayyad period, which was between 661 AD and 750 AD. Archaeologists are currently conducting more fieldwork in order to determine the exact function of the walls. For now, Khat Shabib remains one of the many unsolved mysteries in the world. Number 1. Basania. 2,000 years ago, the ancient city of Basania was a major economic and military stronghold of the Illyrian kingdom in Albania, which existed from 400 to 100 BC. Today, the ruins have allowed archaeologists to peep back into the past and uncover the secrets and mysteries of this ancient culture. In its glory days, Basania contained numerous settlements and fortresses, many of which have been unearthed by archaeologists in recent times. The discovery of the site is credited to a man named Piotr Dajcek, a professor from the University of Warsaw. He, along with his team, have analyzed the nearby coins and ceramic vessel fragments found at the site in order to determine the age of the ruins. Their findings revealed the city was created and flourished about 2,000 years ago. Basania featured large stone walls, encompassing an area of about 200,000 square meters. This means that the city was 3 times bigger than Skydar, another famous ancient city, which was about 70,000 meters. Historians believe that the city fell to a Roman invasion at the beginning of the 1st century, which was why it took so long for the city to be found. Now that the city has been discovered, authorities hope that the ruins will be open for tourist visits soon, exposing everyone to the rich culture of the population which dominated the region in ancient times. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.